The Ride of the Valkyries has appeared in hundreds of movies, TV commercials, television shows, and other media.
But doing your taxes?
What does it say about Hollywood that it has such a love for this piece by Wagner, who remains so notorious for his anti-Semitism and his role in Nazi propaganda? I'm Alex Ross, the music critic of The New Yorker, and we're going to use The Ride of the Valkyries to take a chronological journey through the past century on the twisting and sometimes dangerous track of Wagnerian excitement. So why is this music so appealing to the movies? For one thing, Wagner had a huge influence on how music was used in the cinema from the outset. His system of so-called leitmotifs, melodic fragments that recur throughout a work, instantly became the model for film music. One musical director defined leitmotifs this way: to each important character, to each important action, motive, or idea, and to each important object was attached a suggestive musical theme. The film scholar James Buehler says that leitmotifs were useful because they gave viewers a red thread of orientation through long-form visual narratives, which were very unfamiliar at first. And the visual attached to The Ride of the Valkyries, scenes involving horses. But something much more ominous happens in D.W. Griffith's colossally popular silent film, The Birth of a Nation. Griffith was telling a profoundly racist story of the Civil War and the Reconstruction, with the Ku Klux Klan riding in at the end to save a town and a white woman from alleged black oppression. The Klan members gallop into the music of the ride. Whether Griffith and his composer were aware of Wagner's own racist views isn't known. It's more likely that they were following the habits of the leitmotif system. But this deployment of Wagner in the service of white supremacist propaganda makes you think about parallels between American and German racism in the early 20th century. When Hitler took power in 1933, Wagner's image in Hollywood forever changed. Excerpts from Wagner's music became part of Nazi ritual at the Nuremberg party rallies and elsewhere. By the end of the 30s, when you began to see anti-Nazi messages surfacing in Hollywood, Wagner became a kind of shorthand for Nazi menace. The question of what Wagner means in the movies gets cloudier and cloudier. Is he heroic? Is he menacing? Is he comical?
I'm sorry, sir. I must have taped over that.
And here's the famous scene that brings all of these wildly conflicting associations together.
We're coming low out of the rising sun, and about a mile out we'll put on the music. You think? Yeah, I use Wagner. It scares the hell out of the slopes.
He uses a racial insult, which sets up the idea that this spectacle is something other than a pure fight of American good against communist evil. Another clue to the agenda of the sequence comes when the music kicks in. The first shots are timed to downbeats. But then the pattern breaks as we see the bewildered faces of two African-American crew members. There's a subtext here if you want to read it. The entrance of the main Valkyrie motif coincides with a wide shot of 14 helicopters in flight. The crazy idea of an American helicopter squadron playing Wagner in Vietnam was born in the mind of John Milius, who listened to Wagner and the Doors while he was working on his screenplay in the late 1960s. Could he have been thinking back to The Birth of a Nation? Was this some kind of sardonic commentary? Milius says he wasn't aware of the usage. Another wide shot coincides with a gleaming B major chord, after which the trombones take over the theme. Then comes a brilliant stroke devised by editor Walter Murch. One bar before the trombones complete their phrase, the camera cuts away to a Vietnamese village which is about to be devastated by missiles. The adrenaline rush of men, machines, and music abruptly ceases as the camera lands in a quiet courtyard outside a school. You know the assault is about to begin when you hear Wagner seeping in from the distance. The trombones finish their statement, and the Valkyries enter with their hoyo toho. It's pretty clear that the filmmakers intended a critique of American hubris in this scene. At least Coppola and Murch did. But the sheer visceral excitement of the filmmaking blunts the edge of that critique. And soon enough, something really extraordinary happens. This scene became a military fetish object, and the Wagner scene started influencing real-life behavior. Black Hawk helicopters blared the ride during the invasion of Grenada. Loudspeakers mounted on Humvees boomed out the ride at Fallujah. And in one really dizzying moment, this Wagnerization of the American military ends up getting depicted in Sam Mendes' movie Jarhead, which has a scene where Apocalypse Now fires up a group of Marine Corps trainees.
There was a scene where the soldiers watch Apocalypse Now to get them charged up. And I thought, is this really something I should be doing? Because it's taking a sequence that I edited in Apocalypse Now, and they're getting psyched up about it, whereas the original intention in Apocalypse Now was for you to be excited but horrified. It did give me that a little bit of an extrasensory feeling. I felt like I was a little outside of myself.
And so there we have it. It's an astonishing cultural transformation. The Ride of the Valkyries made over as an anthem of American military supremacy. It's rather chilling when you think about it. The German will to power gives way to God bless America imperialism. Has any piece of music, classical or popular, ever been so dangerously charged? Wagner was present at the very birth of movies, and there seems to be no way we can escape him.